guest today. This fine gentleman is known by the name as Anuj Ghaghada, but also known as Anuj Ji. We are looking at a man who has spun many different areas and roads down his web of career choices that eventually led him to arguably one of the largest organizations on the planet, Google. And you were a exec or a senior person of some sort at Google for 4 years. You can correct me in a sec. He spent 4 years at Google as an exec just to leave it all behind and follow his deeper passions and set up his own entrepreneurial projects. Oh, did I mention that he's a top-class musician, happens to play flute awesomely, and he's the author of a very unusual book, which is more than a regular book. I can say much more about this guy, but I'm going to just let him say himself. Please put your hands together for the incredible Anuj Ji.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Prash, and thank you for having me on the show. I've watched a lot of the other podcasts, and so the benchmark is high. So I'll try and reach it. But no, thank you for having me on, and yeah, looking forward to having a good chat.
So Anuj, I want you to start. First of all, correct me if I've said anything out of turns here. You spent some time at Google, and we're going to come on to that in a second, but I want you to just rewind a little bit. For the world who doesn't know you here, tell us a little bit about your journey, because you were born in the UK, if I'm right.
Yeah, born in the UK, good old Northwick Park. I'm sure a lot of people
Northwick Park, the
watching
home of many famous human beings. My brother was a fellow resident at Northwick Park Hospital, definitely. So tell us about your journey, some of the highlights of what have led you on your journey to where you are today, stopping along significant milestones like Google.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, I've born in Northwest London, lived here all my life. Had a little bit of a stint in West Africa, which was adventurous. My brother Jiggs knows a lot more about that. I was a very small boy at that point. But came back to London, and yeah, kind of really lucky. My parents gave me so much, let me kind of get a really good education. Went to UCL, studied economics and philosophy there. And then from there, kind of did the usual thing. Jumped into a finance job. Worked as a consultant for a couple of years.
Right.
At one of the big four, and then after that, made the big G, which was
okay. Let me pause you. I'm gonna pause you right here.
Okay.
Why did you do economics and what was it? Economics and
philosophy.
Why economics and philosophy? And did you get laughed at by some people saying, "What the hell are you doing in philosophy? This is not going to pay for anybody's living. You have to do something like pharmacy or some lawyer or something that will pay money. Go into IT, Anuj." What happened, man? Tell me.
Do you know what I find really funny? I always find it funny when we impersonate our parents. We always put an Indian accent on, but none of them actually have an Indian accent.
So, what is that?
I don't know why we do it, but we do it. But yeah, no, but I mean, the economics and philosophy, I think I wanted to do PPE. I couldn't get into Oxford. But yeah, it was just, I think I was never really a pure maths and a pure economics person. I mean, I was so interested in philosophy. I've always been interested in philosophy. And so it just seemed like a natural thing. And when I got there, I was really lucky. I had some really cool tutors, some guys who've written some amazing pieces of work. So yeah, it's been good.
Do you feel that your philosophical background has played a part in the unfolding of your 20s and now 30s?
Probably, yeah, a little bit. I think actually it probably went a bit earlier than that, because I've been raised around amazing parents, amazing brother, sister-in-law, the whole family. My grandparents were just, I mean, if I can live 10% of their life, I know I'm doing pretty well.
Incredible.
So they set the journey, they set the path, and I'm just kind of trying to see where I can get on that journey as well.
So let me ask you this. So let me ask you this. You went from a situation where you did your degree and you worked for one of the big four, right? what was it about the Big Four that compelled you to want to leave and then explore something like the Big G? Because that's quite different, right?
It's a huge difference, yeah. So actually, it came to a point where I was working mainly with finance clients, and there came a point where I was working a project with an investment bank, and I'm sitting there at 3 o'clock in the morning, and if you're the last person sitting in an investment bank, life is not a good
Not a good
thing.
situation. And I've been there. I've
Um,
worked at investment banks for much of my life,
oh
and
wow,
I have
okay,
been the
cool.
last
So you know
person
exactly what I'm talking about.
trading floors at JP Morgan, and Deutsche Bank being one of the last, Barclays Capital. Not a nice place to be. I don't know. And it
Yeah.
was not nice. And I have been the last, and it's not a nice feeling. And I'm sure I know some of you out there work in finance, law as well. I know two disciplines, the Big Four, where you end up working some silly hours. I think many of us can relate to that. Okay, so you
Yeah.
were there,
So
and it
I'm sitting there at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I mean, to be honest, I was coloring in a spreadsheet, at three
right,
o'clock in the morning. I'm just thinking to myself, what am I doing? This is just,
right,
do I want to do this for the rest of my life? I don't even want to do this for the next
okay,
6 months. So I think that was it. I think I just kind of said, look, enough is enough. And actually, again, going back to the people in my life, like I was talking to my brother about this, and he's a very tough love advocate. So he was just like, well, what are you going to do about it? And that's that. And I was like, yeah, what am I going to do about it? So
right.
okay, I rolled up late to work the next day, and I was writing my CV at work. And I was like, I'm out of here, because I couldn't do it
That
anymore.
was it.
That was it.
And he just said, wow, okay. Why the Big G? Why Google? Guys, the Big G, by the way, is Google, and it's not Gayatri Sweet Mart, just for those of you who are watching.
Although that it's also a good place to work. Let's be honest, it's got good benefits. No, but I
Awesome.
mean, so Google. I mean, I've always been interested in tech. I've always been interested in just, I mean, like the cutting edge of stuff. So I applied to loads of different places. Applied to Amazon. Applied to Facebook. Applied to even places like lastminute.com, and all of these kind of like all of these different companies, which are which were just amazing. And I tried at Google, and again, going back to like my state of mind at that point, I was completely negative. I was applying, but I was like, half the time I was thinking, well, I'm never going to get in, am I?
Right.
So it's just a bit of a punt, and let's see what happens.
You just tried it.
But yeah, I did things really well, and I mean, it was a
Right.
grueling process. I mean, it's not easy to get in
Okay.
there. It was about 5 interviews over 5 months with different people, and I mean,
Five interviews over
all
five
of the crazy
months.
stories you hear. Some of
Over
them,
5 months.
5 months,
Wow.
yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah, no,
something. I
it's
mean,
interesting.
somebody would think that you were being interrogated by your future in-laws, right? That thing can take 6, 7, 8 months just to pass your father and mother prospective parents-in-law tests, right? They grill you for 5, 6 months, see
Yeah.
how you're doing. That sounds like that. Gosh.
Well, I've got good training then, so I should be okay when it really happens.
All right, man. Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. Okay, so you joined Google, and talk us through any particular significant realizations that you had working at a tech company like that compared to your life before that, and any
Yeah,
particular turning points or aha moments or shit happen things that happened during your time at Google, either related or unrelated in your life, please.
sure. So, I mean, the one thing I have to say is, I mean, the people you work with there are just amazing. Like really, really amazing, like really intelligent, but not even that. I mean, when you go for an interview there, they ask you about your googliness, and that's and that's just so that's your unique thing. What do you bring to the table? And it doesn't have to be academic. It doesn't have
Right.
to be intellectual even. I mean, you've got we had people who are ex-Olympic rowers, or we had people who just created amazing social enterprises. We had
Right.
people just amazing things. And I think if you're surrounded by people like that, it keeps you on your toes all the time, and you always kind of think, well,
Cool.
I can't stand still. So I had a lot of different interactions with people like that. But in
Right.
terms of like aha moments, I remember once we were doing a presentation. It was a mobile mobile ad demonstration to like
Okay.
some people in the room, and the room was full of these kind of middle-aged, all kind of like late 40s, late 50s kind of white audience.
Careful
And
now.
no,
You
oh
said
sorry. I
40s.
mean, I
Careful.
said I'm sorry. I meant young at heart. Young at heart. That's what I really meant.
Thanks, man.
But yeah, but just all these guys who kind of saw advertising in a very traditional way, and so when we sat there, doing these, quite cool demonstrations about what not just a mobile, but what Google on a mobile could do, and just seeing them act like kids at Christmas. I mean, that was an amazing thing, because you said, well, actually, I can still learn something, and so I'm sure when I'm me like the newest invention, I'm going to be that guy who goes, oh wow, that's awesome, I want to learn how that happens.
Okay, so tell us about something else that's happened in that time that has led you on that journey to put your thoughts into a written format. Folks, bear with us. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties. It looks like Anuj has dropped off. So give us a couple of minutes. He will be back on. We appreciate your patience. If you can hear me, just give me a little shout out and let me know that you can still hear me okay. We're just suffering with tech difficulties today. So I think Mataji is definitely having her fun and games with us the day before Garba. So kind of just bear with us as we just get back right into this. All right, guys? All right. While that's kind of happening, and while he comes back on, let me just put it out here, and I want this to be a sharing opportunity. Who else has faced a significant challenge or achieved a significant goal in the past 5 to 7 years, whether it was expected or especially if it was unexpected? And the reason why I'm kind of bringing this out is a lot of us have a certain goal in life. A lot of us have something that we want to achieve. Hey, Anuj, welcome back. So glad to have you. It's all right. It's technology day. We're having techie gremlins today. I was just saying to the audience that, who else can relate to this, that over the past 5 to 7 years, it's fair to say, Anuj, that you've had a significant upheaval or a significant reorientation in the direction that your life has gone. And I was just asking the audience here to click in and share their experiences of what has happened perhaps in their lives that has reshaped the direction that they are going in now, whether for the better or for the worse, but we want to bring out a positive spin to whatever we're doing. And sometimes to bring out a positive spin, we can't see that ourselves. Sometimes we need somebody else. Sometimes we need some other piece of wisdom, a human being, or perhaps a book, as we're going to hear about later on, Anuj, something to help compel us and reframe something that's happened, to embrace it as something that could be a positive thing. And many of our guests on the show have testified to this. And we want to really get the guests, our audience here, to open up on this. So Anuj, you were saying, you're at Google. What then compelled you to want to go on a journey to take your realizations and thoughts? And really, frankly, didn't you think, well, what the hell have I got to share to the world? Who cares about what I got to share? Why would you even bother writing? What happened? What compelled you to want to actually take that side?
So, I mean, I'll be the first one to admit, I'm not a self-help guru. I'm not a life coach. I'm not like a Swami or anything like that. I'm just a normal guy who went through the normal things that everyone goes through. I mean, the normal heartbreaks, the normal failures, the normal everything. And I just, I don't know, I guess it was my way of dealing with it. And it was just about creating these little daily reminders that would hopefully change the way I thought, but ultimately actually change the way that I do things and my behavior as well. So that's why I did it. But I mean, the book was never a project that I sought out to do. I mean, it was never on the cards at any point. But I think once it got to a certain scale, and we can talk about that later in terms of how it kind of grew. But once it got to a certain scale, and I had a couple of people saying, well, why don't you compile this into something? I mean, you've done all the work. It was intriguing, and then eventually, it came to fruition, which was great.
How long did it take for you to put together this incredible book? And was it a journey that you had to go on, or was it something that was knocked out in a couple of days?
No, not at all. I mean, I think the main thing is that, this wasn't something like I woke up every day and said, okay, what am I going to write about today? What will everyone like to hear? Because actually, it never started off on Facebook. I always thought, so what I used to do with these quotes, I used to put them up on Facebook as a status, which is why the book is called Status of Mind. And I used to put them up on that because, I mean, first people said, oh, why don't you write in a book? And I mean,
Right.
people will know I don't write anything down. It's probably one of my biggest issues. And so I thought, well, even if I write it in a book, I'll probably lose the book, and then there goes all my work. So I kind of came up with a couple of ways of doing it, and then eventually I settled on the Facebook way because actually, yeah, one, I can share it if I want to with the people I want to share it with.
Sure.
But then you can download the whole thing into a spreadsheet, so it makes it really easy to kind of compile things later if you wanted to.
Amazing. Okay. Where has this book gone out? Whereabouts is this book now?
So it was on Amazon. Well, it still is on Amazon. You can get Kindle version, or you can order the hardback. And actually, amazingly, I think it was the first week or two when we first launched it. It hit the top 100 in the self-help section, which was great. So I think we peaked at 96. So it was good.
Peaked at 96. That's phenomenal, dude.
Yeah, no, it was
incredible.
A surprise.
Like, high five, man.
Thank you. But yeah, no, it was. I mean, I think that proves to me that, regardless of what everyone has said before, whatever kind of doubts I had in my own mind, still, that was the icing on the cake. So it was great.
Okay. By the way, we can't get you guys. Apologies. We can't seem to get Anuj on the screen at the moment. He seems to. His image isn't coming up on the screen. Anuj, we're trying to solve this. Can we put your Google hat on and see if we can solve this? I'm trying to get you on cam. Let's see if we can get you. Aha, you're back. Okay, you're back. All right. So let's dive in to your book and let's share with the audience some of the quotes that you've put together. I think that's going to be incredible. So let's start with that. Okay. Now, folks, what we've done is, first of all, Anuj's book is called The Status of Mind. Not a state of mind, a status of mind. Anuj, explain this one more time, now that you're actually on camera. Why a status of mind? Why not a state of mind?
Well, I mean, it comes back to the fact of just the way I was sharing it, to be honest. So because I was just putting them up as statuses on Facebook, because it was easy, actually.
Nice.
A lot of the time I was on my morning commute, or but everyone always has their phone on them, so it was just a very easy way to post stuff up. Nice. And so that's why it became the status of mind.
Love it. Okay. So, folks, what we're going to do in this session, and as a sort of reward, we have a very special reward, by the way. Special thank you for all of you who've stayed in this conversation and waited for us and been patient with us, borne with us as we work through these technical challenges that are outside this man and my man's hand. We don't know how they've come, but they have landed upon us this evening. I think it's Mataji, I'm sure, testing us out before Garba. So as a special thank you, we have something very soon which we have not announced, and it's something very special. We're going to be doing a special guided meditation that you'll have never heard on this show towards the end, so watch out for that. But before we do that, we are going to delve and open up this powerful compendium of motivational and inspiring quotes. Many, if not all, are original. They're actually original quotes. Anuj, have I mistaken? These are quotes that either are original or inspired quotes that you've been inspired by.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, I mean, I'm a really big believer in the fact that I think, I mean, there are great spiritual masters. There are plenty of people who've come and gone who I think they've pretty much said everything that needs to be said, to be honest. But for me, it was just about making it relevant to, like, practical. It's nice to say, we're all one and we love each other and all of that kind of things. But what does that mean on a day-to-day basis when your boss is shouting at you or whatever it is?
Yeah.
So,
I think that's a very good point. Absolutely. Because, many of us, the self-help gurus and the spiritual leaders, may be speaking from a position or a platform that's not relatable to everybody. What you've done with a status of mind is you've taken lofty thoughts and life wisdom and you've almost homogenized, you've synthesized those two things between the lofty thoughts and practical life wisdom into something that's quite fresh. It's your own take. You can call it, Kenya's finest Jeoro. It's like a compendium of the greatest stuff on the planet blended together in an awesome organic vegan Bombay mix, right? Can I call it that?
Yeah, it's the vegan Bombay mix of literature. Let's go with that.
Oh man, the vegan. So ladies and gentlemen, the vegan Bombay mix, organic, freshly created, crafted over years, handcrafted, mind-crafted by Anuj G. We're going to dive in with quote number 1. Anuj, over to you.
Quote number 1. So, this is one that I wanted to kick off with. So bear with me; it's a little bit of a long one, but I think it should be relatable for people. So it's in the depths of self-pity, no one can help you. No one can carry you to happiness again. The gods themselves are powerless to change anything. This is your struggle and yours alone, created purely by the power of your mind. And since self-pity is born out of disappointment by not having what you want to have, its cure can only be gratitude for what you actually do have.
Wow. Dude, I'm blown away. Do you want to paste that in the Facebook chat, by the way, so people can relish that and reread?
I will try my best to do that without kicking myself off this chat thing again.
Folks, that's just incredible, man. That's incredible. We're talking about self-pity. Let's just touch on that. What drove that thought? Did you go through a period in your life where you were experiencing self-pity? And folks, if you're listening on this, raise your hands, click in who has not, who's been a victim of self-pity, right? Who's been suffering from bouts of self-pity from time to time and blaming the person upstairs or, I don't know, our parents or something? Is that where it came from?
Yeah, really. I think we all go, like you say, everyone goes through periods like that. But I think it's about taking control of that, and rather than it becoming this really fast and negative spiral of thought, it's about stopping it in its tracks and then trying to shift your way of thinking. So, for example, you might do something at work which is really innocent, really small. You've messed up a document, you've labeled something wrong, whatever it is, and it's very easy if you're in the wrong state of mind to say, well, okay, I made a mistake, or I'm really bad at my job, oh, actually I'm terrible at everything, or actually I'm a worthless human being. Obviously that's quite an extreme kind of thing, but people do it all the time. People talk to themselves in such bad ways, and that is self-pity, just talking to yourself in a way that actually you wouldn't allow anyone to talk to you that way.
So thank you. So I think if there's a lesson there, it is stop talking. Let me say it this way. I'm going to say it crudely. Stop talking dirty to yourself. Stop using cheap, trashy language upon yourself. Don't allow yourself to be the victim of trash talk disguised as self-pity, which in itself does not serve your evolution, your progress, but rather traps you into the place where you are now, rather than learning the lesson, rather than relishing the mistake, and therefore you become mistake focused rather than solution focused. Is that fair?
Totally, yeah. And I think it comes back to the thing that, people talk about this all the time, but that whole attitude of gratitude kind of concept,
right?
And
nice.
If you try and tell that to someone who's in a really negative space, it's not helpful at all. But I think it's the stepping stone. It's the first stepping stone to be able to say, well, actually, there is one thing I can do, and I can be grateful for certain things. And it might be something really basic. It might be that I've got a roof over my head, I've got a bit of change in my pocket, I've had a good meal.
Nice.
And I think even if you can struggle with that bit, my brother again, inspired me to kind of think this way, and it was that, even if you've had a really, really, really rubbish day, at least you can say, well, I didn't trip up and face plant myself into the ground, and if nothing else, that'll make you laugh inside, and hopefully, again, just stop that negative spiral before it gets out of control.
Yeah, I think that's a very valuable thing. Thanks, Anuj. Shall we move on to another favorite quote of yours?
Quote number 2.
Quote number 2, folks.
Okay, so quote number 2. Fully appreciate everything you have, everyone you have, and all those that have made you what and who you are today. Praise be to our teachers, our parents, and our friends, for whom without no task is possible, and no great achievement is worth celebrating.
Love that. And so true. You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, again, this one actually was focused about my music side, and I was going through a particular period where I met a couple of individuals who were like, well, look, you're not really that good. You should probably stop playing, all of this kind of thing. And I was like, okay, well, am I? And again, it was the self-doubt, right? And I thought about it, and I said, well, actually, whatever level I've got to, I mean, yeah, sure, I've put in some effort, but really, I mean, it's, there's about 100 people behind me who actually got me to this stage. Right. So, for example, I mean, it comes down to this, that when I was 8 years old, when I first started playing the flute, or the bansuri, the Hindustani flute, I was 8 years old, and I used to sit on the staircase to practice. And my mom used to be in the kitchen, and she could look out to see me practicing. And after about 3 weeks, I couldn't get a note out. And I looked at her and I said, I don't want to play this anymore. I'm just going to throw it away. I can't do it. And she just sat me down. Nice. She goes, keep playing until you get a note out. And I did, and I got a note out, and then I got a second note out, and a third note out, and before you know it, you're playing. You were music.
Right. Nice.
Yeah. So I mean, like I say, I mean, any kind of talent, okay, yeah, I came with some talent, but any kind of success I've ever had is because of my parents and teachers and all of them.
Totally true, so true. And I guess that's why you're saying, this is the thrust. Praise be to our teachers, our parents, and our friends, for whom without no task is possible and no great achievement is worth celebrating. That is not exonerating and alleviating ourselves of the capabilities that we have, but rather we're acknowledging those who've watered and nurtured those capabilities within us, those who've played a part in bringing and nourishing the skills that we have today. I guess, am I right? That's the spirit of what you're trying to say here, right?
Exactly that.
And I think also them nourish those people.
Yeah, exactly. And also it gives you a bit of comfort because on one side you don't get a big head about things because I mean, what have you actually done? But secondly, even when things go bad, you can say, well, I brought whatever I had to the table. It didn't work out. It's okay. It's fine. I mean, I've got my support around me. I've got my parents. I've got my teachers. It's fine. Just keep going.
I think there's a very good point here. Let me just pitch into this. I know a lot of people listening here on this show right now, and we know a lot of the people who are joining this audience, and that's awesome. I know there are people from abroad as well. I think it's fair to say that many of us have been fortunate enough to have relatively nice parents at the bare minimum, and really good parents, at the other extreme. And I know you're probably on the latter. You've got extremely good parents. They've been very kind to you in many ways. They've nurtured and nourished the skills that you possess today. The intellect that you have today has been as a result of their sacrifices for you. But it's also fair to say that there are people listening on the show whose parents have perhaps been less than nourishing, who've been less than supportive, and who've been less than they ought to be for us as children at the time. And I would say to those people out there, and I know many of you can relate to this who are listening to this, that it's okay if we have to become their parents. That is our karma. If we have to accept the role of being their parents sometimes, that's okay. Because you came through them. If you have to play the father or the mother in that relationship because they're not giving you, stop expecting. Stop looking for their approval in everything you do. Perhaps it's time you became their helper, their keeper, if they want it. And I would say that to
Totally.
people because I know that's a difficult thing. I know not everybody has had it the way you've had it. And I really want to say that. And I feel for people whose parents have either not been to the mark or perhaps who were taken away too early, as in my case, just lost my mum too early to appreciate her. And I know some of you can relate to that who've lost a parent, who are listening in here. So let that be a lesson for all of us. Sometimes we got to be the parent. We got to step up, which leads us stepping up to number 3.
Number 3. Okay, let's pull that back up. So quote number 3, comparing your life to others is like looking at something via a frosty mirror. The blemishes are removed, and all you see is the greater perfection that actually exists. How easily you forget that you are only seeing it all from one angle and will never see the world as they do.
Love that. Just pitch that up. That is so nice. What drove that, Anuj? What was your thinking when you shared that one?
So, I mean, for me, ironically, even though we're doing on some Facebook, I mean, it's social media, right? I think, it is very powerful. We connect with people on social media. We chat to people abroad. We WhatsApp each other. We do all of these things. But for me, there came a point where I got really tired of social media, and that again, that sounds for the people who know me, they were like, yeah, whatever, Anuj, because I post up so much stuff. But
no, we're here to be vulnerable. Just speak the truth, man. Speak your truth.
No, but it's true, and the thing is that you look on Instagram, you look on Facebook. You're looking at the 1% of someone's life. You're looking at the filtered, lovely. This is me on holiday. This is me checking into an airport. This is me in
Plato's
whatever
Cave. Ruben's pitching in saying it's Plato's Cave syndrome, man.
Plato's Cave, exactly that. And there came a point where I just decided that actually, I'm done with social media. So I, deactivated my Facebook, deleted all the apps off my phone, and I went dark for about 4 months, from September till January.
Okay.
And I will honestly say it was probably one of the best periods of my life, in terms of just I've never been so productive in my entire life. I'm not looking at my phone. It's not buzzing every 5 seconds. It's just and also people don't actually know what I've been up to. Whereas now it's how many times some people will come up to you and they'll be like, oh yeah, how was that holiday you went on? You're like, how do you know about that? And you realize, okay, actually I posted about it, that's why. So it's actually quite nice to have real conversations again with people and not
Completely.
Actually know what they've been up to.
Absolutely.
So I think and again, people have done studies on this, and we know that social media is, psychologically it's not good for us, to a certain extent.
So I think if there was a lesson, I'm going to write it here and I'm going to share on the group. Take an occasional fast from social media.
Definitely.
Right. Mind your own business. Is that another one? That's another take home right?
Sure, why not?
Quote number 4. We're going to have a few more, folks. I know it's 10 o'clock, and I know many of you are looking forward to dancing the night away for the next 9 days. But allow us this short time to infuse your mind with the dance of powerful words so that they may circulate in your intellect and enhance and nourish your life and protect you and protect all of us in the decisions that we make, the people that we hang out with, and the choices that we accept in our life. Anuj, number 4.
Number 4.
God, that was good.
That was very good. I was silenced by it.
I'm on the fly, dude. Drinking only water.
You and me both. Cheers to that. Okay, so quote number 4. So, whatever you choose to do in life, there will always be those who disapprove. Use your discrimination to identify between those who advise you for your benefit from those who are seeking to benefit themselves alone. For whilst it is noble to help people, it is foolish to help them at the cost of your own integrity or dreams, especially if those dreams are of a higher goal.
Nice. Okay, your purport, Anuj.
My take on it. So this was actually an observation that I made, which was, it wasn't related to me as such, but I've seen friends, families, people who are in a situation, whether it's in a household or a relationship or a work situation, and all they do is give. They give, they give, they give, and their health goes, their mental health goes, their general energy levels go, their happiness level goes, and you just kind of go, well, what's the point? I mean, you're helping these people, but at what cost? And I think there's a really nice example which I heard recently, actually, which kind of connects to this, and it was talking about how if you're in a plane and the pressure in the cabin goes, the first thing that happens is the oxygen mask fall down, and they always tell you, put your mask on first before you help other people.
Right.
And it's exactly that. It's, take care of number one first. Take care of yourself first, because if you're operating from a level of abundance, there's capacity to give. But if you're always operating at a level of lack, and never having enough energy, never having enough love, to even love yourself, how can you love other people? I mean, how can you give to other people? So that was the thinking behind it, is to say, well, it's very nice to look after people, but I think we have to build up that capacity to be able to unconditionally love people, and until then, there are always going to be conditions which we have to kind of work our way through.
Love that. That's so true. And I've shared a little comment here. I think this goes back to saying that, Atato Brahmajignasa, the Sanskrit says that you first have to identify who you are, recognize who you are, and recognize what you need, not what you want, what you need. And when you recognize what it is that you need, and that need is not just physical, that need is what we're referring to as the intellectual, mental, emotional, and spiritual needs. When you recognize what those things are, you need to ingest those in your life. That is to say, you need to breathe that oxygen mask yourself, take in the oxygen yourself, take enough of a dosage that you are able and fit to then give back those 4 or 5 things to other people and help to fulfill their emotional and physical and intellectual needs, etc. You can never fully fulfill somebody else's needs. I think that would probably be a fair offshoot of what you're saying here, right? You shouldn't even we should not strive to fulfill other people's emotional needs fully. That's not what we're here for. They should be able to do that. We are catalysts, we are conduits, we are middlemen, and we are facilitators in that for other people. We are not their solution givers. Is that fair? Folks, if you agree or disagree, please click in here. Maybe you think what I'm saying is absolute rubbish, or maybe what Anuj is saying is rubbish, but I want to hear your opinions here. Please click in, share with us what you're thinking. Shito, thank you. So true, she says, straight off the words. Danush, wise words. Love yourself unconditionally to love others conditionally. Ruben, love this agape, pure love beyond human understanding. Ruben, that's beautiful, man. Thank you. Anuj, people are agreeing. Okay, we're gonna love ourselves more, and that means we're gonna put our own oxygen masks on. Love that. Give us quote number 5. Quote number 5. We're gonna just do maybe 1 or 2 more, folks. If you want more, I don't know how tired you are. I'm going to put this to the audience. Anuj, let's put this to the audience, folks. If you're liking this, and if you're awake, and if you're feeling that this is adding value, click in, leave a comment and a like, and let us know if you want us to cover a couple more quotes before we then go into our very special surprise for all of you to end this session. So please click in, show your love and comments, and we will read a few more. Anuj, quote number 5, please.
Quote number 5. Okay, so on the path of self-improvement, we will inevitably falter. We will stop, albeit for a single moment, frozen by the unfamiliar feeling of self-doubt and regret. How easy our mind forgets the troubles and remembers only rose-tinted memories of lost days. How easy it is to ignore that silent voice that directed you to your current glory, the voice that reminds you of your real, outstanding nature and infallible form.
Anuj, I think I just love that so much. I'm going to just harass you and have you read that one more time. That was just so gorgeous, man. Hit us one more time, man.
Sure, no problem. On the path of self-improvement, we will inevitably falter. We will stop, albeit for a single moment, frozen by the unfamiliar feeling of self-doubt and regret. how easy our mind forgets the troubles and remembers only rose-tinted memories of lost days.
Wow.
How easy it is to ignore that silent voice that directed you to your current glory. The voice that reminds you of your real outstanding nature and infallible form.
Your real outstanding nature and your infallible form. What drove you to say those words, Anuj? What realization have you acquired in your journey that compels you to feel that we have this infallible form?
So, I mean, again, it comes back to the fact that when I was growing up, I was surrounded by people who were a lot wiser than I was and had a lot more life experience than I had as well. And so probably, things rubbed off from them. And I said, okay, well, I had these concepts in my mind that, we are beautiful, we are perfect, we are great, we can be great. And I think, the world kind of beats that out of you a little bit, whether that's, through work or through relationships or whatever it is. And once you start this journey of improving yourself again, you start introspecting, you start, changing your behavior to become more positive, or, to do more positive things with your life. Again, every so often you'll get to a point where you say, well, I still doubt certain things. I still have problems. I still get upset and whatever it is. And I think it's very easy for us to beat ourselves up at that point, because we say, well, oh, wait a minute, I'm a spiritual seeker. Like, surely I shouldn't have these kind of problems anymore. And I don't think that's true. I think, all the way along, you're going to have problems like this, and they might get more serious, or they might get, more intense. But you've just got to kind of hold the faith and kind of go, no, wait a minute. I got through the last 3 obstacles. I can get through the next 3, and I can get to the next 3 after that as well.
I want to say to you that, I know that I can, on a personal level, I can really relate to that. I think there's been times in my life where I've definitely felt that I'm less than sufficient, less than capable. I think I felt that after I got divorced, and that was a time when I thought, well, that's a black mark on my white shirt. I know that there were certain individuals around me who said that I had, listen, man, these are people in my own life telling me that your life is F-U-C-K. It's fubard, man. That's it. You've been married once. Forget about it. You're a failure. You're a loser. Dude, even somebody very close to home said that you're never going to find love and find a wife again because you're a loser. Wow. And you know what? It took me a long time, because I walked with that programming in my head for a long time, thinking that I am a loser. And guess what? That mindset, this is a great example of how how impressionable we can be to people around us, who especially if we're close to people around us. You become so impressioned that you start walking around with that impression as if it's a part of your own programming. It's a part of your own programming, right? In your Google language, in your ex-Google language, it's part of your source code. You walk around as if it's in your source code. It's in your DNA. And guess what happens? You go into each relationship, especially a romantic one, and guess what? You screw up because you've been told that you're never going to work out. And you keep replaying that DNA, that program, that source code in each and every relationship that you go on, sometimes blaming the other person, or doing the old famous trick of what? Self-sabotage. You get out of the relationship, screw it up before it gets any better or worse, because you just think you can't handle it, right? And you think you're going to be a failure anyway, so why not just leave? And that's a shitty situation to be in, man. I spent 10, 12 years living that kind of life. It took me a long time to recognize that actually I'm an all right guy. Maybe I'm not the perfect guy, and maybe I am going to be a screw up. But as long as I have integrity and I speak my voice and I'm authentic, then maybe somebody out there will appreciate it. And if they don't, hey, then I'm better off alone anyway. You want to pitch in here, Anuj?
You did good there. You did good. So there's a happy ending for all of us, an inspiration for all of us there.
Right.
No, but I agree with you. I mean, we've all been through those situations where people have made us feel, less than adequate, and you're right. I mean, it's very easy to take that along with you.
Totally.
And I think again for me, it came when it came back to the book. I mean, I still remember sitting with my brother and thinking to myself. I said, "Well, I feel like a phony," and he was like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "I feel like a phony. I mean, I've written this book now. which is, helping people. It's got really positive things in it. It's, it's all of these, this collection of stuff to change your mind. And I still get upset about stuff, and I still get angry about stuff.
Right.
Yeah. And the thing is, and the thing that he kind of pointed out to me, and I realized it myself as well, was that actually, I don't think you ever really stop reacting. I mean, we're human at the end of the day. Stimulus comes, we react to it. But I think, something that would I would linger over it for, a couple of days. I mean, now it's like, okay, 1 hour, half an hour, look, it's done, get on with it. And I think that's what it's about. It's just about getting over it quicker. And I think if you look to the great masters, I think they've got to have played with, actually that's such a split second thing, if they're at all. And that's what we should aim for. But I don't think we shouldn't eradicate our emotions or eradicate our humanity.
Yeah, I guess what you're saying is we shouldn't unacknowledge those negative feelings that we have, but we shouldn't linger upon them. Let us acknowledge those feelings that we have. And let us also, as you say in this quote so rightly, let us remember those times when we were grand and infallible and we've accomplished so much. And that allows us and compels us to move forward and embrace new challenges and dust ourselves off. It's almost like dusting ourselves off, right? Kind of dusting ourselves off, picking ourselves up, not beating ourselves up more than we need to, and just moving on, right?
Definitely.
I feel that. Okay, the audience has responded. Our viewers want 2 more. So let's kind of work through at least 1 more. Let's get 1 more in. Anuj,
no problem. So, how amazing would it be if you were given £86,400 every single day? The only rule is, at the end of the day, whatever remains is destroyed. How would you spend it? Would you try to invest wisely? Would you spend it on a huge party for all your friends? Would you do something that you always dreamed of but you never could?
Right.
The fact is, we are gifted 86,400 seconds every day. And yet, we squander thousands of them in procrastination, worry, and negative thought. Stop wasting. Start creating.
Love that. Man, I don't even know if that needs so much explanation. It's just so true. I mean, I'm silent, dude. We all have 86,400 pounds or dollars every day. It's the seconds, right? It's those seconds that we have. But I love the last part of that. That you said, what would you invest it wisely? Would you spend it on a huge party? Would you do something you always dreamed of but never could? The problem is, you say, we squander thousands of them in procrastination, worry, negative thought. And what's the advice? Stop wasting and start creating. I love that. Why the emphasis on creating? It suggests a sense of entitlement and empowerment. Is that what you're getting at?
Definitely. And I think actually it's there's definitely like action behind that. It's trusting you to say, look, actually, I need to do something. This is limited time. This is limited resource that I have. But It's also, I think it's also, to be honest, the inspiration from this came from my little baby nieces. I mean, I think, when they were growing up, there's no one who lives in the moment more than a child. And you see that when, they don't get something that they want, they start crying. You distract them, they forget about that. They stop crying again. They're laughing again. All of that kind of stuff. And they're so in the moment. And I think that's where I got my inspiration, because I said, well, look, if a 2-year-old can find ultimate bliss in this cardboard box, I should be able to do something with my life.
Amazing.
So I think that's literally what it was about, is just saying, look, stop worrying about the future, stop worrying about the past, because none of that actually really exists at this moment in time.
At this point in time, right?
Yeah. So just focus on the pound in your hand.
Love that so much. Folks, we're going to go to questions. I'm going to take questions from the audience, and we have a couple of questions, Anuj, coming our way. Certainly one. So Pooja's asking, what has been Anuj's top ways to move through self-doubt in those dark times?
Top ways to move through self-doubt. So I think there's a couple of things. Like I say, I've been very lucky that I've got a very good support structure around me. So that's, I mean, my parents are literally my best friends. I mean, I can tell them absolutely anything, and there's no judgment. And even though they can be your strongest critic at the same time, it's from a place of love. So
Right.
I've been very lucky to have that kind of support from, my parents, my brother, sister-in-law, but, the whole, and good friends as well, who can help you, who can help give you reminders of the fact that actually, you have done great things and you are capable of great things.
Of course.
So I think that's very good to have. But I think also there's sometimes, I mean, and it's sad to say this, but I mean, you know this, that those people are not going to be around forever, and at the end of the day, the longest relationship you have is with yourself. So in those dark times, I think it's about, I mean, I would start at gratitude, because I think that's the easiest thing to do. But I think
Nice.
after that, it's really about saying, I think there's a lot of exercises you can do, and I think for me, the most powerful one, which I mean still kind of gets me going every so often, is that I think about myself as being a 19-year-old man, looking back on my life and thinking, have I done okay? And suddenly, when you're looking at that perspective, I mean, that small little problem that you've got is minuscule. I'm not going to remember that in 10 years' time. If I make a fool of myself,
Nice.
no one's going to remember that. And in 20 years after I'm gone, no one's going to remember my name. So it's, do you know what I mean? We put so much importance on ourselves, but really, I mean, it's small stuff. It's all small stuff.
You've just nicely segued into two questions that I want to raise with you as well as we wrap up our questions. And that last one, your last answer, by the way, was very poignant. So let me ask you this. What one other piece of advice would you give to your 20-year-old self if he were here now?
Don't give a shit about any about what other people think about you. That is the biggest thing.
Whoa. Now hang on a second. Now hang on a second. Hang on a second, son. Let me tell you something, a thing or two, all right? That's not how they do this in Texas. Y'all got to give a damn about people around you. Now, seriously, man, wait a second. You can't be saying that, because your nanima might be saying, hey, you shouldn't do this. Your father might be saying, son, you cannot go and become an artist. Nobody's gonna pay your bills for you if you fail in that. You got to become something else. Wait a minute. Are you truly saying that you don't give a shit about anyone or anything? About what anyone says? Qualify that for me.
No, I'll qualify that. So I mean, the thing is that, I mean, I've got friends who've done the unusual thing. We've got people who have become poets, people who have become artists, people who have become
Right.
full-time musicians, and their parents have said that exact same thing to them. They've said, well, how are you going to pay the bills? Is this the responsible way? Our family doesn't do this kind of thing. I mean, we've all heard those kind of things. And actually, I think, if rather than reacting straight away and saying, oh, I'm not going to listen to you, I think, again, it's just about taking it a little bit slower and saying, well, okay, why is this person saying this to me?
Right.
And being a bit more discriminative about it. So,
Okay.
I know some of my friends, again, like they've gone into those professions, and all the way when they first started, their parents were like, oh, this is a bad idea, it's a bad idea. But then their parents see that the passion is there. And because the passion is there, the success inevitably follows. And it might not be, they might not become a millionaire, but they're happy. Wants their kid to be unhappy. They want them to be happy. They want them to be secure. So again, if once you recognize that your parents are saying this to you, sometimes, I mean, I appreciate some parents aren't looking out for their best interest, but if you realize that your parents or your friends or your family are saying this from a place of love, because they don't want to see you get hurt, they don't want to see you fail and get upset. But if you can say, well, actually, no, look, you know what? I got this, and if I fail, it's okay. I'm going to fail, but I'm going to try. I think a lot of parents will actually be like, okay, do you know what? Go for it. I'll support you.
Okay, so what I'm reading from that, and please correct me if I've misread this, is actually telling your 20-year-old self to have a balance a balance between your own passions, your ability to apply your reason and discretion, and your ability to keep your ego in check, so you're not too proud to receive wise advice, but you filter it through your reason and discretion, and you balance that with your passion. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, no, exactly. But I think, you know, if you start off from a point where you're worried about what people think from step one, I mean, you won't even get to that. You won't even work through that process. You'll shut it down instantly.
Stuck at the get-go, right? You'll just forget about it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I know that in the 90s, in the mid 90s, it was laughable to have a career as a musician. Like, what are you talking about, mate? You must be on roids, mate. You must be on drugs or something. You know, you need to get a proper job, like an IT person or like a pharmacist or something, mate. You're loony, mate. Anyway, we had a lot of that. I don't think my father spoke like that, by the way.
I'm really enjoying the accents, by the way. I mean, this is this is the highlight of the show.
Dude, I used to do accents, and I thought, a few of my friends said that maybe I could make a career as a comedian, and all my elders are like, "Are tu rewa dene, tu gandio che, pagal che, are to tene lafo mari dais have kaya amati paisa nat maravana to tu chene chano mono thine godri odine huija tu chano mono thine." Anyway, a long time ago. Maybe one day, man. Maybe one day. Right. My last question. If you could have any superpower in the world or beyond this world, what would it be, and what would you do with it?
That's a very good question.
Thank you.
To be honest, I think to be honest, it sounds very strange, but actually, I'd love to be able to learn. I'd love to be able to speak and understand any language at the drop of a hat. When I'm being a tourist in certain countries.
Nice.
But also, I think it's so nice when you go somewhere and you talk to people. You try to speak the language, they laugh at you. To be honest, even when I go back to India now and they listen to me speaking Gujarati, it's a great entertainment for them as well. But just being able to just talk to people like that, because I think, again, it just comes back, you can just connect to people and you just realize actually everyone's the same. And everything, people go to some people. There's that funny thing that you go on holiday somewhere, and you go, oh wow, look, these guys have chips as well, and you're like, nice. They're potatoes. So do you know what I mean? It's just realizing that everyone is largely the same, and the little bits of shading and slightly different things here and there.
I think human nature has a certain fundamental glue or primary substance that makes all human nature similar in one way, and then it's the outer edges, the language, the expressions, the gestures, the cultural differences that then make us unique in our own way. But if we can tap into that inner glue, that inner gel that binds us, that fabric, that internal fabric, that you can really touch and move the hearts of anyone, through language, but also just through our emotions. And I hope that we've been doing that very much so, hopefully, on this show right here, talking to people from across the UK, Europe, Australia, South America. Yep, South America. So we've got such a mix of people tuning in. It's just incredible. And we're having it. I have one last question. Mira has tuned in. She's saying, hi Anuj. If you could change one thing in your life now, what would it be?
One thing that could change in my life now. That is a really toughie, actually.
I'm gonna guess the easy one is your single status, right? You want to keep that for later. Garba's coming. Garba's coming.
Yeah, we'll dress up nicely for that. Don't worry. But that is a really good question. I guess for me, it would be about going back to, when I went back to uni, if I could go back to uni now, I'd probably do a different degree, if I'm honest. I think it's for me, it's that, I even tell my nephews and nieces, it's like they're going to uni and stuff, and they're like, oh, what should I do? And you kind of realize that from an early age, we quite pigeonhole ourselves, and okay, it goes before uni as well, and
right.
we forget, we actually focus on what we don't know as opposed to what we do know. And I think actually, if back in the day, I did things which I was 100% passionate about.
Right.
Like I was so into acting, I was so into drama, I was so into music, so into like script writing, the whole lot. And wow. I kind of put that all on the shelf because I thought, well, actually that's not really
a proper
thing. It's not a
where
proper
did
thing.
The proper programming come from? Society.
Well, I don't know. Society, yeah. I guess
societal
so.
Conditioning, right?
Exactly. So I think, again, it comes back to the fact of just being real and just kind of being a bit more true to yourself. And I think also, when you first start work, I mean, I would do all kind of things to try and fit in. I'd go to all these places which I didn't really enjoy. I'd rather been somewhere else. So this is what people do, and so I think I think there's a lot of time that's been wasted there. But I mean, again, it goes back to the fact that it's happened, whatever, move on and try and learn from it. So can't really dwell on it too much, can't really regret too much in my life. But yeah, I think that would be it. It would be nice to have spent things more valuably. Yeah.
I love that. Sunil's joined in as well. Sunil, another speaker in his own right. Big shout out to Sunil there, keeping it real as well. So Midsilesh, Pooja, Mira, love these questions you've been asking. It's been a pleasure hearing you speak and share a couple of verses. I think a few people have joined. So Anuj, I'm going to ask you to just indulge us just in one more before we go into the final special surprise element of this live session on A Walk on the Wise Side. So Anuj, if you would, please.
Okay, so there's nothing wrong with being rich, and there's nothing saintly about being poor. The fact is that this world is run by currency. Once you realize that money is merely an instrument to achieve things for the greater good, one is neither excited by its gain nor saddened by its loss. Desire for money can corrupt people. However, to believe that the rich are automatically evil and the poor are pure is simply false.
Love that. Say that last bit again. I thought that was just beautiful.
Yeah, so desire for money can corrupt people. However, to believe that the rich are automatically evil and the poor are pure is simply false.
Conditioning, right? Once again, it's that conditioning. It's societal conditioning, and heterogenic familial conditioning to think that the poor are necessarily pure and the rich are really actually nasty people. And it's not always true. We've seen so many people. I think many people who are listening to this, we can testify, you and I think, know a lot of the people listening. They may be well off materially, and yet their souls are elevated. They are kind-hearted people who are doing a lot for community and society. They're some of the most unselfish people that we've met, and yet they're some of the most materially successful. And yet there are people who perhaps are not so materially successful and who can have an awkward and a difficult character. So if there's a lesson to take away from this, if there's a piece of advice, what would that be, Anuj, in your opinion?
I think it's not to see the world in black and white. And I think when you're growing up, your mind can do that. And the way I think about it is that, I mean, if you see the world in black and white, you miss the color. And is that when you grow up, you think, and people again tell you this, is that, okay, well, if this person is vegetarian, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, goes to the temple, they must be a good person.
Right.
And then you grow up, and then life comes at you, and you meet all these people who are vegetarian, don't drink, don't smoke, go to a temple, and you're like, I mean, is this what I was waiting for? And then you meet people who are self-professed atheists or whatever whatever it is, and they're the nicest people in the world, and you just go, well, actually, whatever people were telling me before is completely false, and I just need to see this on a case-by-case basis. So, in the same way, I mean, my dad is a great example. He just, he gives respect to people based off who they are, not because of what they earn, what their title is or anything like that. It's, are you a good person? And that's what it fundamentally comes down to.
I'm putting it down here as this: thoughts create habits, habits create persona, persona creates character, and character creates actions and how you exude yourself.
I like that.
Actually, you can add that one as a bonus one if you like from me on your book. But I think it's
okay, sure.
I think it's very true, right? Our thoughts create our habits create our character, our persona creates our character, and then that character is the shopping mall. It's the shop front that we exhibit to people, and that shop front cannot be hidden by chanting malas and going to temples and pretending or trying to be religious when the persona and the character hasn't been refined, it hasn't been chiseled, it hasn't been molded in a way that brings out the best in us. And that doesn't have to be about a label of being a Hindu, a Gujarati, a Jew. It has to be very much, it's all about our persona, it's our character and our conduct. I think that's such a truth that I think all of us can embrace, man. Folks, are you enjoying this? Shout out some love here, man. We're throwing this at you at 10:35. Who else is doing this for you? For the next 9 days, you guys are going to be dancing and jumping up on floors and doing the Garba Navratri thing, most of you. Even some of you in your 40s and 50s. I know you're going to be there, some of you. But this wisdom right here, those 9 days will go. Your feet will be sore. You might have picked up a couple of ladies or guys if your thoughts are impure. But one thing you will not have had is this wisdom permeate your mind and stay with you. This wisdom will stay, and I hope that it will equip us and equip you, all of us, in our journeys in life. Because if we can share like this in a forum like this, all of us, you, me, Anuj, all of us, then we're able to make wisdom go viral. And that's something right there. Anuj, raise your eyebrows. Give him a couple of eyebrow raises. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right, it's that time. Hallelujah. Okay, folks, it is that time. We have a surprise, because not only is this man an author and an ex-Google exec kind of guy, and an ex-Big Four professional corporate kind of dude, he happens to blow really nicely. Did I just say that? He happens to blow.
Oh.
Anuj.
Yeah.
He happens to blow.
You've got away with it.
He happens to blow real nice. And he happens to blow. Oh, right there.
There it is. The magic stick.
Anuj, please introduce the instrument that you hold in your hand so that people don't mistake it for a garba stick, dandiya stick. It's got holes. So, folks, for those of you who are watching, this is not a dandiya stick. This is not to be used for playing the garba. Please listen carefully as we're going to try to enlighten you with some flute playing.
I love it.
Dude, this is Anuj's Bansri, and we are about to have the pleasure of sharing for you a guided meditation. And this is fresh. This is something we haven't done. And this is the first on the Walk on the Wise Side show. Right here on Urban Spirituality Mantra Therapy, the Walk on the Wise Side show, presenting the highly talented Anuj Ghaghada, playing for us. And I'm going to share with you something to go with this. So this is my invitation to all of you right here, guys. I want you to close your eyes. If you're listening to this and watching this, I want to invite you, if you would, to close your eyes, because what we're going to do is we're going to really take the tempo down right deeply now. So I want everybody to close your eyes, because we're going to do a guided meditation, and we're going to end this show with a beautiful, powerful, and mentally stimulating guided meditation that is going to soothe you, calm you, take you on a journey, and allow you to prepare yourself for your night of slumber. Anuj. The Bridge by Sri Kavindra Rishi. On the slender bridge between the mental and the meadows of the transcendental, wrapped in veils, matter elemental, my true self journey on across chasms empty and absurd, holding the slender line of sacred words. Spoken before the waves of time began, about who we are and what we can become in the heroic garb of a man. Beyond the markets with trifling, reflecting light, beyond the stars who seem to own the night, gardens divine lie just beyond our sight. The map to find them given long ago, the secret signs that point the way to go, the hidden gems that lie beneath as we tread this path above. Traced by sages secretly upon your palm, hidden in Sanskrit mantras, the healing balm, a clue revealed in every sacred palm. O holy Veda, upon your trembling wires, the bridge where every hungry soul aspires, holds the weight of their eternal desires. And leads them slowly to that place where sweet perfection of every grace is finally found in gazing upon your holy face. O Bhagwan, beloved one and true, each step I take 100 taken by you. In no time I will see your form of blue. And fall enchanted in your loving arms, past death or pain or any threatening harms. My eyes in yours, my hands upon your charms. I walk that bridge all night, but fear no winds. I see the light toward which I now ascend. and soon will walk that garden with my dear friends. And leads them slowly to that place where sweet perfection of every grace is finally found in gazing upon your face. Beyond the markets with their trifle lie, beyond the stars who seem to own the night, gardens divine lie just beyond our sight. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the divinely talented Anuj. We hope that you feel truly blessed, truly peaceful, and tranquil and empowered through this short and magical guided meditation that we have shared for you. The flute was through Anuj, and the poetry, that poem was from one of my mentors, Sri Kavindra Rishi, Jeffrey Armstrong, entitled The Bridge, about the journey of the soul reconnecting with the divine. So as we bring this show to a close, we wish all of you a very powerful and empowered Navaratri and Garba. And it just leaves me to thank our very special guest, Anuj. You've been a stalwart. Your book, I'm hoping that we can share. We'll share the links for all of you who enjoyed snippets of that book. We will share details of A Status of Mind. And on that note, we bring this to a close. I'm Prash K. This is Anuj. I'm off to run our amazing Tuscany retreat on Thursday, so we will see you very soon for our next Walk on the Wise Side. I may humbly just ask you as my final request, if you haven't done so already, please leave a like and a comment, and if you're so moved, a 5-star or a nice high-star review on our Mantra Therapy Facebook page to help us fight Facebook's algorithms, as I'm sure Anuj knows very well, to spread this beautiful wisdom, magic, and motivational content to the world at large, beyond race, beyond religion, and beyond borders. And that is why mantra therapy and urban spirituality exists, and that is why good souls like Anuj and many of you on this session right now exist, to spread good and do good. Let us do more together. Peace and light to all. Namaste.
Namaste.